Many of us have encountered so many evil things in our lives, but I can assure you that God will turn around those evil things into something good. And a great example of this is the life of Joseph. He was a man of integrity, a man of faith, and a man who followed after the heart of God. The act of his brothers selling him was an evil act. However, as a result of that act, something good came out of that. And Joseph was able to save the Israelites from dying of famine. Some of you may have been terminated from a job. However, most times it's a good thing and it forces you to reflect on your life. It allows you to pursue your passion. Some people may have successfully plotted evil against you. Rest assured, God will turn around that situation for good. Let's look at Joseph, as I mentioned earlier, a man of integrity. Part of his wife seduced Joseph, but Joseph ran away because he knew it was inappropriate for him to sleep with his boss's wife. It was a wicked thing and sinful act to do. How many of you would run away from a woman that seduced you or a man that seduced you? Not many of us. We would give in and keep it a secret between you and that person. That woman may get pregnant, and you may be the father, and no one else even knows. That one-night stand may end up becoming a long-term relationship. However, Joseph was not that type. He was a man of God. He was a man of integrity, and he refused to interfere with his destiny by doing something contrary to the word of God. Had he slept with Potiphar's wife, I'm quite sure the outcome of his life would not have been the same, because eventually the truth would have come out. And who knows what would have really happened to him and the Israelites. Joseph was the man who trusted God. Joseph was a stranger in a foreign land. He had no family there. He must have been very lonely and homesick many times, but he trusted God and he remained faithful to God. He was also in prison for some years, but he continued to put his trust in God. He even interpreted dreams for the cupbearer and the baker. But the cupbearer forgot about Joseph for more than 2 years. The baker was not around as Pharaoh hanged him, which lined up with Joseph's interpretation of his dream. However, one day, Pharaoh had a dream, and no one was able to interpret it. Finally, the cupbearer remembered Joseph, and Joseph was able to interpret the dream correctly, as a matter of fact, and was released from prison. Some of you are strangers in a foreign land, and some of you feel that you are in prison for some of the things that you're going through. One day, you will be released from that prison. So continue to put your trust in God like Joseph. What you're going through is a journey to your final destination. Be patient. Joseph was a man who prospered because of the Lord, because of God. The Lord was with Joseph. And because the Lord was with Joseph, Joseph became very successful. In fact, Potiphar was blessed because of Joseph's relationship with the Lord. Joseph was in charge of his household. When Joseph was in prison, he was also in charge of those held in prison. When Joseph interpreted the dreams for Pharaoh, Joseph was placed in charge of the land of Egypt. In fact, he was in charge of the palace, and orders had to go through him. Success followed Joseph wherever he went and whatever he did. God is also with you. And despite the harm that you may encounter, it is not God's plan for you to have harm. but rather it's his plan for you to prosper. Just stay with God and see the plans that he has for you. Joseph was a man who forgave. Joseph had every right. He had every right to be upset with his brothers as he lost out of his relationship with his father and his brother Benjamin. They had the same mom. He was sold as a slave. He was thrown into pits. However, he forgave his brothers. His brothers did not expect Joseph to forgive them, you know. Even after Jacob died in Egypt, his brothers thought that Joseph would turn his back on them and treat them mean. But Joseph was not the type. He did not do it. That's not who he was. Forgive those who treat you mean. A man who knew his purpose and saw a bigger picture of his life. He knew it. Joseph saw a bigger picture of his purpose in Egypt. He knew his purpose was to save the lives during 7 years of famine. Many of you have suffered so much and you feel like God has forsaken you. Remember the story of Joseph. Stay focused and try to comprehend why you're going through what you're going through. Jesus too suffered while he was on earth. He died a painful death. You know, for us, he did die for us, for he knew his purpose. He knew he would rise again in 3 days. You too would rise up of your situation. Know you have a purpose to fulfill. And then, in conclusion, I will sum up with this. The life of Joseph is such a great example to embrace. It is a great learning lesson and reminder that what the devil meant for evil, God will turn it around for good. Joseph was sold as a slave, but in the end became the governor, saving the lives of many. You may be focusing on the current situation you are in and all the wrong people and all the wrong that people have done to you. Look beyond these situations, knowing that something great is about to take place in your life.